You know, Aaron, one of the most troubling things he said today was when he was talking about the war in the Ukraine. And as we know, he said he's going to end the war in 24 hours. Today, all of a sudden, he hopes to end it in 6 months. But regardless of that, he said that he understood why Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. He used the term, I understand. And he didn't say it, I understand, in a bad way. It was more of a positive light, sympathetic to Vladimir Putin. Did you hear that? And what do you make of that? Because I find that to be so dangerous when he talks like that.
Yeah, it's really echoing some of the talking points that we've heard from Russia apologists all along about NATO and this idea that Ukraine wanted to join NATO, and if they did that, that would bring a hostile power right on the doorstep of Russia. And so, in that sense, Putin had his reasons for doing this. I think we've heard that from people on the right and on the left, domestically, people who, make apologies for Putin, and it is disturbing to hear Trump say that. But at the same time, I mean, I don't think there's any secret that that was what he was campaigning on. I mean, this idea that there was going to be some sort of deal before he took office, which obviously the clock on that is ticking. This idea that he was going to solve the war before he took office, that was always kind of predicated on Zelensky making huge concessions and, basically cutting a deal to be very favorable to Putin, and dice up Ukrainian territory and give some of it to Russia. So, yeah, I mean, it is disturbing, but, we saw this going back to Trump's first term. And I think this kind of connects with the first question that you asked about, Trump not being surrounded with credible people who might put the brakes on some of what he wants to do this time around, where, Trump, the first term, tried to kind of reorient our foreign policy in a more Putin-friendly direction, but he kind of struggled in doing that. And of course, ultimately was impeached for, working against Ukraine. It wasn't necessarily on the side of Russia there, but, part of Ukrainian territory was invaded at that point in time by Russia already. And yeah, I mean, I am concerned that we're going to see him go even further down that path. Of course, in the same breath that he was talking about why Putin had his reasons for invading Ukraine, he was talking about NATO and how the NATO countries don't pay enough, and kind of making ultimatums like he did the first time around as well. And if you remember, there was reporting a couple of years ago that John Bolton, I think he said this actually on some of the TV hits that he was doing, was talking about how if Trump won, he would try to remove the United States from NATO in a second term. And it seems to me like that sort of thing is still very much on the table.